What's going on, everyone? Alex Shinsky here for the Anti-Hustlers Weekly Show. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get paid even when you get the holiday objection. Yes, the dreaded holidays are here for salespeople because over the next 6 weeks or so, you're going to be getting a lot of after Thanksgiving, after Hanukkah, after Christmas, when the new year starts. And we're going to be talking about how to take verbal commitments into paid commitments so you can have an amazing end to the year and crush the beginning of 2024. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Brian Downard. How are you doing today, buddy?
Living the dream.
Hey, yo, let's talk about how to help everyone else live the dream by making more money during the holiday season. Now, if you
Yes.
are watching this show live, we do this show live every Thursday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern in our Facebook group, Seven Figure Sales Savages. And you can find us on all your favorite apps and all that stuff, where we would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be super cool because we share all these clips and all the everything that you get. But if you're watching with us live and if you watch us on replay, how many of you right now actually have heard the holiday objection? If you've heard it so far, drop a 1 in the chat. I would love to hear from you on it. I hear this every single day from our clients in POD that they're getting objections, Brian, of, well, I kind of want to start, in the beginning of the new year. Oh, well, I haven't had my budget set.
Yeah.
And we'll talk, in January, right? We're seeing this all the time right now. And what we want to do today is talk about how to leverage it. Brian, why would it be important, right, for people to consider implementing the usage of this holiday objection in order to crush the end of the year? Why is it important to even learn this?
I mean, honestly, I think because I don't know how adept everyone here on this call is at selling, but a lot of people will tend to roll over on this objection because it feels like such a fair and reasonable thing to say. When you really break it down and you look at it pragmatically, it's just asinine. And frankly, more often than not, I would argue is a veiled objection to the real issue that they are having, because it's an easy one to push off a decision. To not have to make a decision now is one of the easiest ways to get out of it. And I think people give them a break, and it's why people use it. So understanding how to navigate the conversation and not be willing just to roll over and actually politely battle for this is really important. So I'm excited to hear what Alex has to share around this today.
Yeah, I love that insight, and everything you shared there, B, is so on point. The concept of how many people use this as an objection because they don't know how to say no is the key, right? One of the main things that we want to do with any objection is getting to the variable root cause, right? It's like mathematics, right? It's like algebra, which is wild to say, but you want to make sure that we're isolating our variables with anything related to objections. Because a lot of times one objection is actually a tree of objections, or an objection is a veiled no. Like, it's really easy to just say, Brian, like, yeah, I like this, but we'll start in January. Someone who's either inexperienced or doesn't know how to handle it or doesn't feel comfortable handling it, just like, okay, great, we'll schedule a time in January. January comes around, person forgot everything that they've claimed to agree to start with, and then the verbal commitment you had, the 17 you had in November and December, end up being how many paid clients?
And so much happens too during the holidays, right? Like emotionally, mentally, hopefully not, you don't get run over by a reindeer physically, or hit by a menorah, whatever your denomination is.
Flying
um
menorahs.
but yeah, but the idea is like people, what you do is so important to you. It's everything you do. And I talk to Alex about this sometimes, like, hey, our clients, like, for them, POD isn't like always the main thing. It's just a part of their life. And people go back to their lives, especially during the holidays, just they forget why it's important. They forget things happen, and then it's just not even a priority anymore, and it's gone. So I think capitalizing on this now, and even if it's just, and I'm sure this is what we're going to get into, just a deposit to hold a spot at the barest minimum would be something to consider. But
Absolutely.
we're going to get into it here, and hopefully can get paid in full, and not have to discount or anything like that.
Yeah, so I have several methods for you all today that will be immediately impactful if you use it. My recommendation is you have roughly 6 weeks until the end of the year. I am certain that you or your sales team will hear this. You can listen to this replay as many times as you need, but you got to implement it. What's really important before we get started is understanding 2 really key concepts. Number 1, sales is a verb. Sales is a verb. This is an action that we are taking. It is your responsibility to sell, to convince, to influence, to help someone make a decision that is best for them. And most importantly, anytime I coach sales, it's important to remember that when I'm coaching that sales is a verb, that you need to be aggressive or be influential or help people selling by help them make the best decisions for themselves through confidence. You have to sell something that you actually believe in, that you know is going to help people, that's going to make a difference for their business. Otherwise, you're just a charlatan and kind of a snake oil salesman, and that's not how I want want to be or how I want to coach. So keep that concept in mind. But sales is a verb. You have to do the hard stuff. So if you find yourself when you hit objections, either normally during the year or especially at the end of the year, where Brian's framing like, it seems like a reasonable objection. And frankly, it is a reasonable objection to say, I'm kind of off for the next 6
usually
weeks.
not the
We
reason.
start in January, but it's usually not the reason. And you're not actually identifying if it's the reason. So that's how we're going to handle it today. But the second thing that's really important is, as I kind of go through how to handle them, it's just really important to remember, you don't have to be Alex. You don't have to listen to this script by script, throw a note taker on and like read exactly what I said. You just have to understand the frames. And so I'm going to give you the frames and then I'm going to role play how I would handle them. Now, the great thing is, if I was to redo this training 100 times, I'd probably come up with 99 slightly different scripts, because the frame is what matters, not exactly how it's said. It's the frame. That's the key. All right. So let's start first with what the objection is. The objection is anything related to pushing off a decision until the new year for any reason. Any reason. Holiday is just the one that we're using and leveraging in this conversation. But the reality is it could be any number of reasons, again, veiled as holiday objection or families coming into
Tax
tax
season, kids go back to school.
Exactly. All of these things are all the same. We're just leveraging holidays because it's, of course, the holidays here in the US and elsewhere in the world, of course, too. So let's start first with the most important variable. Okay. We take away the objection and then do the assumption close. Okay. We take away the objection and we do the assumption close. It looks like this: 3, 2, 1. Hey, Brian, totally makes sense. I respect completely that you want to get started in January because the holidays are coming up. Obviously, we have Thanksgiving next week. We've got, Christmas a couple weeks after that. You're taking a vacation. Super excited for you. Let's just clarify so we're on the same page. If this was June, right? Not holiday season at all. You're in the midst of working in the throes of standard business. It's Q2 or Q3. We would be getting started today. Is that right? Just want to clarify. If you do not separate this, if you do not get absolute clarity on an assumption close, that if this blockade, this objection, which is in your hands right now being real, not assumed fake, we don't want to just assume immediately that someone's giving you a fake objection. That's really disenfranchising your clients or prospects rather, and putting you in a really negative mind space. A lot of people do this, by the way. They'll like get on and be like, this person's lying to me. It's just a really bad experience to have because it's the alternative experience that your prospect might be having. Imagine if a prospect gets on a call with Rico or with Danny or with Justin or with Alex or Brian, and every single type of salesperson they get on with, they're like, this person is just trying to sell me. They're just trying to screw me, right? If you have the same thought process about your prospect of they're just giving me bullshit objections, well, it's never going to be a good, healthy relationship, right? So the first thing we want to do is assume that what they're saying is truthful. And if what we're assuming that is truthful is there's holidays, there's vacation, there's time off, it's a slow season, whatever it is, right? We're assuming that that's a real objection. And so we're pulling that objection away by saying, if this was not the season, whether it's holidays or slow season or vacation, etc., if this was a different time of year, we would be getting started now. If you do not do this, right, everything else I'm about to teach you is irrelevant. And if you do not do this, you won't actually know if it's really the objection. Because they might say, well, frankly, if this was June, I'd also kind of have an issue with the price. Oh, well, now we're in an entirely different objection, right? And now we work that objection, then come back to holiday objection. Does this make sense, this concept of isolating variables? It's very algebraic. Brian, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, you're nailing it, right? You have to make sure that what they're saying is actually legitimate, and I wouldn't assume it's not until you get into it. And you have to ask, right? You can't just roll over. I know a lot of us, including myself, when I used to do this when I was a lot younger, just roll over. You just accept what they say at its face value, and you don't dig a little bit deeper to get the true answer.
That's right, 100%. Again, sales is a verb, so we got to do it. Okay, so first step, if holidays were not happening right now, we would be getting started, isolating that variable. All right, the next one is once we have clarity that they're like, yeah, absolutely, we definitely be getting started. The ideal next scenario is getting clarity on decision being 100% made already or not. And I'll clarify what I mean by that, okay? This is where a lot of people get really worried. They get very concerned about like, I don't want to come off too aggressive. What if they really mean it? And, I just want to hold their, word and I want to believe them. And why don't we just get started? Instead, we'll just get started in January. Like, I don't need the money right now. It's fine, etc. This is where a lot of salespeople do the mental jumping jacks. Instead, I just want you to do this frame, okay? Is the decision 100% made? It looks like this: 3, 2, 1. Hey, Rex, appreciate that. I do wish, frankly, it was June so that we could get started today, but I also respect and understand like wanting to have a little bit of time off. It's all good. Here's the thing, right? We can take it one of two ways right now. One, I would love to know, like, is this decision 100% already made, or would you be open to hearing why I think there's value in getting started now? No urgency, no pressure. If at the end of it you think you should still start in January, that's fine. But is the decision made? And if it is, then I'll just say, okay, no worries, and we can go from there. It's not 100% made. You're open to hearing me out. Perfect. Okay. I have a couple considerations for you that I think are really valuable. All right. So outside of the frame, okay, outside of the role play. So again, the frame here is the decision 100% made already? The frame here that we're trying to give them is we have some things that maybe you're not considering as to why you should get started now versus waiting until the new year. But if they are 100% certain that they are not doing it and they do not want to hear your reasons why they should start now, well, then you just got to let it be. And we'll talk about what you do then, which is the deposit frame. But in general, right, most people will end up telling you, yeah, Brian, I'm open to hearing like what you have to say, why I should consider, starting before January 1 or January 10 or whatever it may be, right? Oh, amazing. Well, I really appreciate that. Here's the considerations. Okay. Now I'm going to share them with you and then I'm going to role play them with you. Okay. Number one is head start. Number two is maximizing sales during the holiday season. Number three is less competition. And number four is tax savings.
Before you do that though, real quick, I'm gonna actually, if you don't mind, ask everyone here in the chat if you know the answer to this riddle. Maybe you've heard it before. More like just a question. Do you know when the best time to plant a tree is? A little bit of a trick question, but just drop it in the chat if you know the answer to this. I'll tell you in a second, but this is the mindset I want you to have with this. Cool. So Tim got the second half of the answer. Love it. Smart. So the best time to plant a tree was actually 20 years ago, right? Because then it would be grown right now. But the second best time is right now. And I think this is a mindset and approach you can take, especially around this time of year. It's like, look, we're not talking about 20 years, though. We're talking about a month and a half, but that makes a huge difference in your ability to be competitive at the beginning of the year. So I think that mindset is a healthy way to just approach this in general. But use this language as well. If the metaphor helps, maybe work with tree trimmers, run with it. But you can work obviously in different examples as well.
I love that. And that concept that Brian's talking about is a reminder that any objection that we're handling always has to be in the benefit of the prospect, right? The training that I'm giving you here is based off of really four things that are in the benefit of the prospect to start now. If you're in a position of believing that they do not have benefit of starting now, then it's your responsibility, your duty to that prospect to have them start when it is most beneficial for them, even if that means it's not most beneficial to you. Because if the roles are reversed, that's always what you want, right? That's always what you want. And that's the key, right? That's how you are effective as a salesperson. So again, here's the four things: head start, maximizing sales during holiday season, less competition, and tax savings. I'm going to role play that in kind of one so you can kind of see in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So if your decision isn't 100% made already, I have kind of four things, like maybe one of them really strong for you, maybe three of them, maybe all of them are really strong indicators as to why you should start now. But I want to give you, kind of arm you with the insight that would benefit you on why you should consider starting with this ad service now, why you should consider starting with your website now, why you should consider starting with SEO today, blah, 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 whatever your specific offer is, right? Let's start first with the avatar as a whole, okay? You, Rex, are a solar provider, right? So at my agency, I only work with solar agencies. That's all I do, right? That's all I do. Now, I've had about 25 sales conversations in the last 2.5, 3 weeks with people just like yourself that are good fits for our product. And about 75, 80% of them are saying the same, reasoning for why they want to delay starting, which is totally understandable. The holidays are here, vacation time, slower season, etc. Right? Well, if that's a microcosm of the industry as a whole, let's consider the opportunity for those that turn left when everyone else is turning right. When everyone zigs, you zag. Here's the consideration. If you consider the market as a whole, 100%, right, of competition, okay, during the holiday season, the competition is inherently less. Let's be conservative and say it's 40% less, nothing more than that, right? So that 100% competition is now 60% competition, meaning the amount of money that was spent as a whole in the industry. I'm making up these numbers, but let's just assume. Let's say there's $250 million worth of ad spend in the United States every month for solar. Well, if 40% of those people are significantly decreasing their ads or shutting them off altogether, you have so much more opportunity to have the online billboard space, the marketing space, to prove to your audience that you are here and you are the one to support them and help them. The reality is there still are sales during the holiday season. There is still a need during the holiday season. If you
November and
zigging
December
when
are the
everyone,
biggest spending months of the year.
exactly. If you are zigging when everyone else is zagging, and we run ads related to the holiday season and getting your wife, the energy savings that she wants and all those types of things, this opportunity is massive because you can have a huge leg up on your competition. Have you ever considered that? Most people, now we're out of the role play, most people don't consider that, because a lot of times when they think about competition, most of the time they're either thinking about the specific like local competition that they have, like Sal's solar company. When you're Derek's solar company, you're like, that guy Sal, that guy, right? But it's not just Sal, it's all of the competition related to him and in the entirety of the United States as well, like the entire market as a whole. And so your market share opportunity is greater. So that gives you a massive opportunity. But here's the second consideration, which is the head start. Not only would you maximize sales during the holiday season because there's less competition, the second or third element in this scenario is the head start. Think of it this way. If you are saying that you want to start in January and 80% of the other people I spoke to also said they want to start in January, well, then the competition that's normally 100% is 150% in January. Think of it like a gym, right? When you go in the last 2 weeks of December, the amount of people in the gym are way lower than on January 1 and beyond. But here's the thing. Your gains are going to outpace anyone that starts in the gym on January 1 if you started in December 1, because you have a head start. It's inertia, right? It's marketing momentum. If your ball is rolling down the hill when everyone else is just getting started, you're going to have a massive head start to maximize success, even with more competition in Q1. And that's why you should be really starting to consider this. You have a head start. You're going to maximize the sales during the holiday season, and there will be less competition because of this market share. Those are three main things. Now, what you want to do is you want to frame those three things, get clarity on how they feel about them before you talk about the fourth, because the fourth is kind of like, for some people, like a Bikram yoga stretch. I don't personally think it, but I do think that these first three are much stronger than the fourth one, right? So again, you get a head start, right? You have maximizing sales during the holiday season, and there's less competition during the holiday season because of the understanding of the marketplace being less people spending ads, because all of them have the same thought process, which is we're going to wait until the new year, right? So you get clarity on whether or not they like this. Do they want this? Does that make sense to them? If so, let's just get started. If not, there's one last thing. You say, hey, there's actually a cherry on top. I always save this as the last one, just because in general, like, it might not be as big of a needle mover as the other three, which I think really are big needle movers, but it does make a difference, okay? There is some significant tax savings if you actually make the investment now versus next year, because everything will be on the books for this year as things that you can mark off as business expenses, but you'll benefit. All the revenue is going to be benefited at the end of this year and momentum into the new year. And so you're going to have some significant tax savings if you make this investment now.
Especially paying in full.
Exactly. Now, the reason why I use this as the fourth cherry on top concept is, unless you are very well versed in tax and understanding like business tax and how people leverage the most success with tax, like, I can only talk about that in a theoretical sense. Like, if someone on this call right now was like drilling me on like, well, how much tax savings? What's the percentage? How much money would I save if I did it on January 1 versus December 1? I can't answer those things. I don't know those things. And so I have to keep it theoretical, and I'm okay being transparent about that. But that's why I don't use it as like, this is my, ace card. That is not the ace card. It's a cherry on top. The ace card is the head start, maximizing sales during holiday season, and less competition. So those are the insights. Brian, if you want to add anything, we can go from there, and then we'll do the deposit and close.
Sure. I got a couple bonus things, but I'll save those towards the end. This would have been more helpful, I think, earlier in the presentation, but again, understanding the difference between a no and an objection, right? No is not an objection. So you need to understand, like, when is there a firm opinion or, decision made about working with you, and knowing when to push and not push, because I think that's a really important asterisk you need to start with. Is it an objection to the value, the investment, timing, etc.? or is it no? And you have to, a lot of times, again, the veiled objection is, oh, we'll wait till after the holidays. But is that really a no and they're just pushing it off? Or is it something we can handle right here and figure out and then start later or start now? But you have to kind of be able to navigate no versus an objection.
Yeah, and absolutely love that you brought that up. That's why that first tree or branch, however you want to frame it, is isolating that variable. If it wasn't the holidays, would we get started? If the answer is no for any reason, then it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to handle this objection because there's something else withholding them. And just in a general sense, like one of the main things we can teach you today outside of just this objection is making sure you're separating price and value. This is an important thing. Making sure that when you get to your offer, you're assuming and clarifying, not assuming, excuse me, you're explicitly clarifying with the prospect, hey, based on everything you told me, I believe absolutely this is the right fit for you. This is the result we're going to get you. Is this what you want? They're like, well, what about the price? Before we get into pricing, right? I would never make you an offer if I didn't believe absolutely without a shadow of a doubt you'd make an ROI, because that's ultimately how you win, right? You win by making money. We win by making you money. So we work together long term, right? I'm just talking about strictly based off what you were hoping for from this call. Is this what you want implemented in your business? When they say yes to that and you separated the value and the price, now you know that you've separated the main variable that most people have, which is the money variable, right? And that's really, really valuable and helps you a ton. And to that point, Brian was talking about no is not an objection. No is a decision. It's an important thing to consider. We're not trying to overcome someone's no, right? If someone says no, we get clarity as to why, we learn about it, we respect that decision and let them know, ironically, let them know that we'll follow up with them about their specific goal. This happens many times, in POD, we offer a mentorship program. A lot of times we'll have someone give us a goal that they have. We give them the offer for POD. They say no. We say, okay, no problem. What we'll do is we'll hold you accountable to that goal and see where you're at. In 4 months from then, we ask them where they're at on their goal. They're in the same exact spot. We have a lot more leverage now to have them start working with us, right? Consider that framing. It's really valuable.
Yep.
Okay. Last element of today's session. Hope you guys are enjoying
it. It was like a Jedi mind trick. You waved your hand there. Okay. Now we'll. Very, very nice. I'm hypnotized now.
Last part of this, if you guys are enjoying it, drop a 1 in the chat, please let me know. And I would always appreciate if you guys don't mind, those that come live on the actual session, if you can just go to the actual Facebook post itself, like it and engage in any way, would be very helpful for us. So we really appreciate that. Okay, all that to be said, the last element here is the deposit frame. Okay, so let's say that you tell someone, hey, if it wasn't the holidays, we get started. Right? They say absolutely yes. Okay, perfect. Now, is there a way I can convince you, right, to potentially start now if I give you some reasons to do so? You give them the reasons to do so. They still say, hey, I like it, but I don't want to start now because of whatever, which is fine. Then you frame with this: 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to get started with you in January. Like I said, no pressure at all. Here's what I'd love to do to get started if you're cool with it. All right. I'd love to put down a $1,000 refundable deposit. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll hold your spot in line. Okay. So we're not going to go to any of your competitors or outreach to the person right next to you. We're going to hold your spot, make sure that we don't, overtaking clients, which I don't expect we would, but just in case, get all the setup ready so that when you pay the rest of the investment, we can press a button and be ready to launch. Guarantee your price in case anything changes. I don't think anything will change transparently, but just so you have clarity. And then ultimately we'll also give you X. Now, X is variable for every single business and every single person, right? X could be a database reactivation campaign that you might do during the holiday season, right? You might say, hey, you pay us the $1,000. We'll start with doing a database reactivation, get you more reviews, get you more deals, get you whatever. And then we'll get started with the ads in January. That might be an angle. X might be a PDF that you have, or some sort of training you have, or a video that you have, or an automation that you have, or a time that you want to give up, an hour of their time, whatever it may be. You have to identify what that X is so that you're exchanging value. So again, for the deposit, you're holding spot, you're getting set up, you're guaranteeing the price, and you're giving them X, some sort of value proposition. Then why I said refundable, this is your choice if you want to do it or not. I like using refundable, but it's your call. I would like to then frame like, look, the reason we do this, by the way, is so that we can actually lock in verbal commitments into paid commitments for transparency, because deposits are very rarely refunded and people actually move forward with us, which is key. Because look, man, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 weeks, but I want to actually start in January like you do. And I think these 4 reasons for the deposit are very valuable. But here's the best reason. In case something happens over the next 6 weeks and you're like, here's what happened, I'm not ready to do it anymore, yada, yada, yada. We have a break glass in case of emergency. I'll refund you, no questions asked. That model gives them no risk, and there's reasons for why they should do the setup and the deposit, excuse me, and that's how you can get it. So that's the frames. That's what I had for today, Brian. If you want to add anything else, feel free. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed it.
I got a couple more. So what Alex was just expressing was this idea of adding value instead of discounting. I would always prefer to do that, right? Someone's going to pay in full. Don't discount, add value, give them something else, ideally that requires almost minimal fulfillment, ideally zero. But yeah, just consider that. Now, discounting is also can be a powerful strategy when used effectively, right? If you understand what your fulfillment costs are and what the minimum you can sell a product for, I would consider this idea of a love it or leave it offer as well, right? If you're on the phone with someone and you feel like you can really truly help them, maybe they get a small break on the price for the first month or two to prove it, or because it's the slow season, it's the holidays, all the other reasons Alex expressed there, to get them to a place where, hey, then in month 3, you roll into the normal price of X, or they can leave it, right? So it's that frame of a love it or leave it offer. We had joined a program where the investment was $5,000 per month, but then they did this love it or leave it framework of, hey, the first month is 2,000, the second month 3,000. Then if you love it, you can continue at the normal rate. So again, you need to understand the economics of your business. What does it cost you to actually fulfill the work? If you're doing all of the work yourself, stop it. Find a fulfillment partner, understand what that cost is, and then know what the minimum is. So as long as you're still profitable, it might be an effective way to get on clients or to bring on clients during the holidays. Now, to add a bonus to this is important to consider. So if you're half listening, I know it's towards the end of this call, listen up. This is key. If you have clients churning during this time of year, because this is common also because it is a slow season, or any of the reasons Alex just said as objections why they wouldn't buy, you need to be considering that and be open again to possibly negotiating a temporary lower rate to retain that client, to either get them through the slow season and or prove to them and validate, if you believe you can get the results turned around, that this actually works, right? So this is a powerful strategy you can use to retain clients who may be churning this time of year. And the second half of this is you need to understand the industry that you serve. When are the slow seasons? What are you doing during that? One of my biggest and favorite takeaways from our Scale 7 call last night, Richard Sargent spotlighted that. He was talking about during the slow seasons in his niche, they do database reactivation. During the busy seasons, they run ads. Off season is they reactivate customers. So what are you doing when you know your clients are churning? What is your downsell to retain them, and just keep them around, right? And it could be, again, a discount. It could be moving them to a different lower tiered offer of some kind. Maybe it's your SaaS play if it's not a full on done for you service, but just considering like, what happens next when your clients graduate, when they get what they want? What comes next? What happens when they want to cancel? Is there a downsell when they want to leave, or it's a slow season? Understanding who you serve is key. And if you're serving everyone and doing everything, it's hard to pinpoint that. So this is why we coach building equity in a direction. Niching down is key. So that was a little bit of a bonus there at the end here, but just some things to consider as we're getting into the holidays. I know these things are on your mind.
Yeah, it's excellent stuff. Absolutely excellent. Hope you guys all enjoyed this today. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we are here every single Thursday, 3:15 p.m. Eastern live. You can also watch all the replays on our replay vault on our website, prospectingondemand.com, or you can find us on YouTube, Alex Schlinsky, Prospecting on Demand, Brian Downard. You will find us, and we are there for you. And obviously, of course, the Anti-Hustlers weekly show. If you need us, reach out to us. Other than that, we will see you on the next one.
Let's end the live and stay here for just a second. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.